I wanted to build on what the young lady over there said, the first speaker. I have a young friend who works at a movie theater owned by a large chain here in Arizona. She used to work 5 days a week, a full shift. Just recently, in anticipation for the summer rush, which never developed, they hired 30 employees. She's now working 1 day a week, half a shift. So when you talk about young people looking for work, there is no work out there for young people now. I'm out of the workforce now, but people like me that would be out of work are looking for the jobs that the young people are taking to support a family, which is ridiculous.
Yep, amen.
And one of the terrible things, we've got a long-term spending problem that we've been talking about, and we also have a short-term spending problem, which has gotten quite a bit worse in the last 2 years, and the name of this spending problem is called stimulus. This notion that if the government just gives out a bunch of money to government workers and to special interests and to special investment banks that are connected with people in the government, that somehow our economy is going to get better, even while they've got crazy policies in energy, in the environment, on healthcare that are going to bankrupt this country even further. And so what we have is something called regime uncertainty. An economist named Robert Higgs has talked about that. Regime uncertainty. It's the #1 thing that kept us in a depression for 10 years in the 1930s. If we eventually got used to pretty high levels of taxation in this country, but if they had just told us at the very beginning, okay, your taxes are going way up and that's it, we probably would have figured out how to get used to it. But it's the regime uncertainty. We had no idea what was coming. Businessmen never knew from one day to the next what FDR was going to do to them that week. And the regime uncertainty is what killed business expectations. Businesses stopped hiring, in large part because they were afraid. They had no idea what's coming down the pike. That's what's happening now. They see money going, lots of money coming out of the government. It's all going to stimulus. It's all going to these projects. It's going into Arizona's 15th congressional district, for which I'm proud to be the congressman.
You're getting a fair share, aren't you?
Oh yeah, we're doing a great job. But yeah, this stimulus money is going to all these government-connected people, and yet the private sector is scared to create jobs because they don't know what these people are going to do next.
And don't dare be an entrepreneur. You heard the 10-year-old girl in Multnomah County in Portland, Oregon, set up her lemonade stand. Big sign, lemonade 50 cents. Actually said, if you notice the sign closely, it said free in a small, and then lemonade in big, and then underneath it said donation, and then it said 50 cents. Like she was already trying to, manipulate the system. This is a 10-year-old who already knows you can't actually charge people. It'll be a donation, And then they came along, the health inspector, and shut her down with her lemonade stand. I mean, I do a segment on the show called Have You Had Enough Government Yet? And every day, those little examples, have you had enough government yet? Because that's too much government, not for a free country. Those fat cat bankers that have been too big to fail to the current regime, America is too important to fail. America, the idea is too important to fail. And that's where we're on the brink of, and I agree with that comment, we're on the brink of losing it because of things like that little girl and her 10 cents for lemonade. Just astonishingly bad. Okay, let's see if we got other hands. I heard other hands going up in the back over there. Tom will get to you with a microphone.
Hi, my name is Corky Haynes, and I am a teacher, and I have to tell you I've taken a pay cut the last 2 years, so that has affected me in that way. I'm wondering where all the stimulus money is. It's supposed to be coming to teachers, but apparently they don't like Arizona, I don't think, so we don't seem to get that money. But I too agree, being in education, the waste is so frustrating as a teacher to see the waste in education. Frustrating as a teacher to see my colleagues all supporting the tax increase that's going to go to teachers, and you try to tell them you won't see it. We did in the 301, we never really saw that money, and we have to stop. And I think there has to be the will to change how we deliver our education, how we deliver our curriculum, how we utilize staffs on campuses. We can do it, and we can save tons of money just in education. When you see, I forget, is it something like $12 billion of our state budget goes into education? or something close to that, and yet half of the staff involved in that $12 million budget are teachers. Is that something like 48% are teachers and 52% are non-teachers? That's ridiculous. We can fix it. We just have to have the will. And one thing I was disappointed with Governor Brewer, because I think she scared people into convincing them they needed that tax, and we didn't. We were fine without it in education.
Yeah, just to throw a statistic at you, if you look at the per pupil spending, the amount of money that was actually in the system divided by the number of kids, that went up by about 30% after we passed Prop 301, and in part because of the rebound from the recession. But our per pupil spending went up about 30%. And yet the amount of money going into the classroom has remained absolutely flat. If you go to the Auditor General's report, it's hovering right around 57%. Sometimes it goes up to 58, down to 56. This whole decade, it's been right there, flat.
So all the new money went into overhead.
Lots of money. It didn't go to the teachers.
All right, I think we had in the back there, Tom, right behind you.
Hi, my name is Kay Sherm. This will sound a little rambling because I'm trying to figure it out as I go. We're talking about, somebody up here said, keep it local. What can we do here? You're from California. We live in Arizona. We need to close the doggone fence, okay? So that we don't have people up here stealing jobs who came here illegally, now stealing jobs from people who want to work. Americans will work. They want to work. And kids, when I was growing up and when my children, and I have 7 of them, they found jobs to do. They did summer jobs, and some of these jobs aren't, they're entry level and kids can do them, but other people are coming here from other countries and taking those jobs. The other part of it is we're paying people not to work. A lot of people we're paying not to work. We've extended unemployment beyond what it should be. I've been unemployed in my life, and it's for a period of time. And in a year, people should figure out what else they can do. We just don't need to be paying people not to work.
I want to be clear, you want to close the southern border, not the western border of Arizona?
Yeah. Thank you, Tom, for asking that question. It was kind of on my mind, too. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Tom, for this venue of people getting together in our community and just coming together and talking about the issues that we're all concerned about. I look over this audience and I see a lot of people my age and a lot some younger, but not many. But you asked at the beginning of this forum, how did you feel the pain? Yeah, how did you feel the pain? What experience did you have, that you could talk to this group about? And I'm a small business owner. Back right after 9/11, after Bush passed the Accelerated Depreciation 179 Act, I've never seen business, as good across this state and across this country, because I dealt in 50 states. It was amazing, what the benefits of those things did for businesses, small businesses, large businesses as well. The biggest attack that Arizona has right now is exactly what Susan said, and that's the EPA. And we have got to do something about that. It's going to affect all of our business. That's like this past week, there were 10 concrete companies here, construction companies that were, put under the limelight and put pressure on, and the EPA is just going to suck the rest of the breath out of the corpse of small businesses here in Arizona. We've got to do something about that. If any of y'all after this can tell me how I can approach an employee and say, business is so bad, I've got to let you go, I'd really like for you to tell me. I'm not good at that. I've never really had to do that before in my business career. But Cindy, I have to have a talk with you tomorrow. But one of the things early on in this thing was, if any of y'all guys had 401k plans, that's the thing that hit us in the gut the first time, the most time, that got our attention as to what happened to our personal savings that we'd been putting up for the twilight years and retirement years, and it took a hit. The worst thing in the whole wide world was when in the mail I got our grandchildren's AIM accounts for their college that we'd been putting up for every birthday, every holiday, every special occasion. We've been contributing regularly to these accounts for our grandchildren. One time we opened them up, and I could not believe it. I called our son, one of 5 children, who's a banker, and said, "You've got to talk to your son, our grandson, about economics in lesson 101." And he said, "Why?" I said, he doesn't have a savings account anymore. You know, he's going to have to figure out how to get a scholarship. You know, but this is affecting us. This is affecting, you know, my wife and I. This is affecting our businesses. This is affecting, you know, our future. And she's exactly right. It's affecting the next generations, the unborn generation. Cindy and I have a son and daughter-in-law that have been trying to have a child for a number of years and just have not had luck. They've had numerous child situations with lost children. They are successfully now 4.5 months into probably one of the last attempts that they would have. This grandchild of ours is going to be born and is going to owe the federal government before he ever takes a breath of life. We've got to do something, folks, and we've got to stand up. Thanks for people like you.